It's Sportster time here on Buckcrack Cycles. I don't get to say that very often anymore. It's kind of strange, actually. As someone whose first Harley was a Sportster, as many people's first Harley is, and also as someone who my YouTube channel was really started with that blue Ironhead Sportster of mine, the 83. These days, it's mostly big twin content here, not because I hate Sportsters or think they're girls' bikes. It's just because most of the content that I'm putting out at this point in my life is customer bikes, and the vast majority of people bringing me bikes to work on are bringing me big twins. I think partially because Sportster people are usually fairly self-sufficient and work on their own stuff, and also partially because Sportsters are just really reliable, so they're not broke down in the shop all the time. But we've got one right here behind me. This bike is an Evo Sportster. It's a 95 or a 96, I believe, one or the other, can't quite remember. Pretty slick bike. This was brought to me by a local guy named Adam. This is his very first bike ever. He's never owned a bike before, and he picked this up at a really good deal. I think a Sportster is a fantastic bike to learn to ride on, and this one's cool. I mean, this thing's pretty nice. Chrome, 2-in-1 pipe. It's a CV carb behind this SNS style teardrop air cleaner, but we've got the American Eagle paint job going on. I mean, I don't actually know. I don't think this is factory paint. I'm almost positive it's not, but it's done very well, and it doesn't quite come through on camera, but the white has almost a pinkish, bluish. It depends on which way you get the light. I'm trying to move the camera around to see if it'll come through. There's pearl in this white paint. This is really nice paint job. American flag stripe going down the front fender. Yeah, this is the perfect 4th of July bike, though. By the time y'all see this, it will be long after the 4th. In any event, what are we doing to this thing? What's wrong with it? Well, you can see I've got a gas can over here. I'm about to start draining the fuel out of this bike because I need to take the fuel tank off. And I need to take the fuel tank off so I can take the rocker boxes off. And I need to take the rocker boxes off so I can take our cam chest off. This bike has a terrible cam chest leak. It's actually already starting to leave spots on my lift. So that's thing number one. We need to reseal the cam chest. Thing number two is apparently this bike just all of a sudden stopped shifting. It wouldn't come out of second gear, so we need to figure out what's going on there. And then he also wants me to maybe swap this front wheel to a mag wheel. He brought me a mag wheel. I told him I just need to look at it and measure and see what the axle spacer stack is going to look like and see how much work that's going to be. We're kind of trying to keep this, budget friendly, so oil leak is priority number one. Transmission issue is priority number two. And swap to the mag wheel is kind of like a far third. If we can get all this stuff knocked out fairly quickly and within the budget and everything, we don't run into anything crazy, then we'll tackle that front wheel. In any event, I've rambled on long enough about this bike. Let's drain some fuel out of this thing and let's get started working. So we start things off with just pulling the breather off of this bike. I will note as I'm doing the voiceover for this video, this is not a step-by-step instructional. This is just kind of showing me doing some work. You can kind of get an idea of what is necessary to do this job. But again, this is just me vlogging, essentially, working on the Sportster. Anyways, take the tank bolts out, pull the gas tank off. I actually ended up just leaving the fuel in it. I kind of had an idiot moment where I was like, you know what, Paul, you don't even need to drain the fuel out, assuming the petcock closes. This is a single piece tank. I've gotten so used to split tanks on the older big twins. The exhaust has to come off to get to the cam chest, so we're going to PB blaster all the exhaust fasteners, and while that's soaking in, disconnect for the rear brakes, brake controls, and then we can wiggle and pull that 2-in-1 pipe off. Obviously, of course, at the back of the bike, you got to take the exhaust bracket loose too. I'm pulling spark plugs out here, and the reason for this is so we can lift the bike up, have the back tire off the ground, and put it in gear. That way we can turn it over to have the rockers at the right position in order to take the rocker boxes out without damaging anything. So go ahead and pull the front and rear top rocker box caps off. The rocker boxes on the Evo engines are essentially like a 3-piece deal. And then I'm going to try and turn this thing over, but remember I said it wouldn't shift, so I'm doing this in second gear, really hard. You normally want the bike in top gear, so 4th or 5th gear. In any event, you need to get it where your rocker arms are up, and then you can take the bolts out in an even sort of crisscross detorque pattern, and then weasel your rocker boxes that have the shafts and the rocker arms and stuff actually out of the bike. Obviously the rear cylinder is usually more difficult than the front, and then you can pull the push rods out, and now the pressure is off the camshafts, so that when we pull the cam cover off, we don't have any issue with the rocker arms pushing down on the camshafts inside of that cam chest. So speaking of cam chests, you can see here I've got a little pick, and I'm struggling with getting the little Allen head chrome dress up things off, and then take all the bolts out. You'll notice I'm taking them out one at a time. It's a good idea to just kind of loosen them a little bit at a time in an even pattern. And then I'll normally lay the bolts out in the order they came out, because there's like 4 or 5 different lengths bolts on one of these. Then we're going to drill out the rivets for the timing cover and take the plate loose, and then we can access our electronic ignition module. This is a factory module. It looks like it's probably been in there since the bike was new. I don't know if I got a close-up video of it, but I did get a picture. I'll throw it up on the screen here at some point in time. This one was starting to kind of deteriorate and melt. They do that. I've seen them just melt completely out of the cam chest, and still somehow the bike is running. But this one wasn't quite there yet. I marked the timing plates usually on either side of both bolts. That way you get an idea of where to put it back in. And sorry, I kind of blocking the camera here. I'm drilling a hole in the camshaft seal and then putting a little wood screw in, and then you can clamp a set of vice grips on the end of it, and just take you a little small pry bar and pry the end of the vice grip, and there comes the seal. It comes out every single time like that. You just got to be careful not to drill too far or to put your screw in too far. It doesn't take much. So with that seal out of the way, we can pull the actual cam chest cover off. So a little assistance from a rubber mallet, a little persuasion, and we are able to pull the thing off and disconnect the last oil lines underneath there. And there we are, looking at all 4 of the Sportster cams. So I ended up not putting that back together right away, and it turned out to be a good thing that I didn't. I was waiting on parts, and so I wanted to kind of dig into the transmission and just do some diagnostics while I was waiting on my seals and gaskets to show up for the cam chest job. So I pulled the derby cover off. I had one bolt that the Allen was stripped out on, so just hammered a Torx bit in. And we're going to take the shifter off and the shift shaft seal, and then start undoing the primary cover bolts. You got to let the tension off the primary chain. It's that big adjuster in the bottom, in the middle, and then the other big nut at the back is how you actually drain the primary oil. Anyways, back to pulling the bolts out one at a time. Again, there's multiple length bolts for the primary, just like the cam chest, so I usually lay them out on a piece of cardboard, kind of like with the drawing on them, and then we can yank the primary cover off. I saw a bunch of debris in here, and something looked like it was going on back behind this clutch hub. So I went ahead and pulled the clutch hub nut off and pulled the alternator rotor nut off, and then pulled the primary guts off to get a good look at the transmission. And you can see there's debris kind of everywhere inside this transmission. And I've got the shifter back on, and I'm playing with the shifter. And watch that shift detent that my hand just touched right there, that sort of shifter pawl. The valleys and peaks are how this works. Kind of the valleys, the low spots, are the gears, and then the one that looks different than the other that it's currently sitting on is for neutral. You'll notice all of the debris around the bolts here. It's not metal. It's something else. We'll show what it is. And I was able to just take a flashlight and a small mirror and look back inside of the transmission through the trapdoor, and I saw what the problem was. And it meant that I had to pull the transmission out to fix it. And all it is right here. You see the shift fork can't move because of this piece of debris. Well, what is this debris and where did it come from? We will answer that just here in a second. And all it really took was then just removing that piece of debris from between those two shift forks. And then I had a transmission to where you could turn, you know, your counter shaft or your main shaft over. It doesn't really matter. And then moved your shift detent around and get it to go into all 5 gears up and down. And then here at the end, you can see I've got it back in neutral. So you know it's in neutral when you can turn one shaft and the other shaft doesn't turn. And everything lined up. So there's our culprit for what the debris was. It was the alternator rotor. I screwed up and actually didn't take a video of it, but I got some pictures of it on my phone. And you can see all of the magnets have come apart. They've cracked and split, and pieces and chunks have come off of them, and they're all separated and bunched up on one side. And I think it's because of what I'm showing right here. That was the clutch hub bearing has a lot of play in it. And I wonder if letting the primary chain walk, if that clutch hub play was translating out into the rotor, and that's what slung the magnets. But that rotor ended up contacting the stator and wrecking the stator too. And then on the workbench, you can see that the rear exhaust push rod for this bike was bent, and it also had a gouge knocked out of it from where it hit the cylinder head multiple times. And then that brings the question of what caused this, and is there a cam or lifter issue going on?
Well,
and that kind of brings us to the end of this video.
An abrupt end, an unexpected end on this episode, though I don't think the way this ends is incorrect. You'll note that the bike is all the way back together over my shoulder here. And it's not because I put it all back together without showing y'all how to do it. Though, as I mentioned earlier in this video, this wasn't necessarily a step-by-step how-to video. But it got put back together because we're not fixing it. After I found everything in the clutch hub and the alternator rotor and what it was going to cost to finish that cam chest job correctly and fix the exhaust push rod and figure out why the push rod got bent in the first place, and take a really good look at lifters and camshafts and all that stuff, and then the added cost of replacing the clutch hub bearing and the stator and the alternator rotor and primary gasket and all that extra time and labor and parts money. I kind of wrote him up a quote, and we talked about it on the phone, and basically said, man, I'm going to be upside down in this bike if I have you fix this. And I agreed. I was like, yeah, you are. And basically what Adam told me, he's like, dude, I have no sentimental attachment to this motorcycle. I just bought it because it was cheap and it had a cool paint job and it looked nice. And he's like, and I wanted to learn to ride a motorcycle. He said, that's the important part. He said, I was never planning on keeping that bike anyways. He was planning on riding this for like a year to learn how to ride a bike, and then he was wanting to sell it, and he wants like a Dynaglide. He's really smitten with the whole like Dynabro, like that vibe, you know, the Evo and twin cam Dynas with that sort of style. So that's ultimately what he wants. And so he was like, it doesn't make sense for me to sink more money into this bike than what it's worth. Like realistically, this is like a $3,000 bike in perfect running condition. And so the decision was made then for me to just slap it back together so it's at least all back together in one piece, and he's going to pay me for my time that I have in it. I'll return all the gaskets that I bought to do the rocker boxes and the cam chest, and that's it. He's just going to turn around and sell it or part it out as is and cut his losses. He's going to lose money on it, which sucks, but it is what it is. I feel bad because I really like this bike. I really like Evo Sportsters. I sing their praises pretty regularly here on this channel about how they're really good bikes and they're tough bikes. And they're little cockroaches that just keep on going. But like anything, they will break, and we don't really know the history of this bike or how it was used or perhaps abused. And yeah, so it's unfortunate that this bike ended up having so many problems and he never really got to ride the thing, but it's how it goes sometimes. So Adam, thanks for bringing me this bike. For everybody watching along at home, sorry this episode kind of just got the brakes slammed on it. That's how it goes sometimes though. Sometimes you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, as Mr. Kenny Rogers says. That's it for today, or at least that's it for this episode. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.